In Invincible Season 2, we've been introduced to Mark's new nemesis, Angstrom Levy, who has the power to open portals throughout the multiverse. And eventually, when Mark gets sent into a portal as he's trying to save his mother from this villain, he gets sent into a strange universe where he sees a man in a red costume fighting another guy with 4 metal arms, as it's revealed that somehow Mark has flown into Spider-Man's universe. Spider-Man is really confused for a moment as Mark easily handles Doc Ock by sending him flying as he carries Spider-Man away so the two can escape the police. It's here where Spider-Man tells Mark that he can't hit villains that hard because he might have killed them, but Mark begins to cry, explaining that he's just trying to get back to his mom in his original dimension. Spider-Man says, "Hey man, stick with me then while you're here because I know what it's like to lose family, and together we can figure this out together." As the two introduce themselves, Peter says, "The name's Spider-Man, nice to meet you," with Mark saying, "That's a pretty lame name." But when Spider-Man finds out Mark is named Invincible, he gets offended, telling Mark his name is stupid as a new friendship begins. After Invincible accidentally gets sent into the Marvel Universe and meets Spider-Man, the two joke about their hero names for a bit before becoming fast friends, as Spidey brings Mark over to Avengers Tower, explaining the concept of super teams to someone already in a super team themselves, as Mark meets Aunt May and Mary Jane, wondering what kind of powers kind old lady and super hot redhead have, but Peter laughs, saying that's just his wife and aunt, showing us that this is a Peter that seems to be living a pretty good life, as Invincible questions where the actual Avengers are and turns around as he spots the leading members all standing behind him, as we see characters like Wolverine, Iron Man, Captain America, and more standing before Mark, and as he tries to guess their names, Spidey explains everything to Cap as Iron Man tells Spider-Man that they've just got a report of Doc Ock causing trouble downtown, making Mark fly Spider-Man there as quick as he can as they find Dr. Octopus terrorizing the people hanging out on the harbor, and our two heroes stare this villain down and prepare to take him down together. As Invincible and Peter Parker leave Avengers Tower during the official Invincible and Spider-Man crossover comic that many fans are hoping will somehow be adapted in this season of the show on Amazon, we see as Mark and Peter land on a pier and see Doc Ock threatening the civilians as he threatens to kill Mark and make him pay for how much he hurt him earlier in the day. However, this sets off Mark, who flies right into Octavius, sending him flying straight into the Hudson River. Police nearby stand there looking shocked since this isn't usually how things go, and as Spider-Man asks him if he can go and do his job without getting fired on, since clearly the Spider-Man is still a lawless vigilante, we see as Octavius comes flying out of the water and lands hard on the pier, and Peter tells Invincible that he has to stop hitting him so hard because he might actually kill him because he's so strong. In that moment of distraction, Octavius hits Mark in the face really hard with one of his tentacles as Invincible tears them all apart and leaves Doc helpless. A portal opens up back to Mark's world as he says goodbye to Spider-Man, telling him his name is actually pretty good now that he's gotten used to it, leaving Spider-Man to swing away and smile at the new friend he just made. After Mark Grayson spent some time in Spider-Man's universe because of Angstrom Levy, he eventually makes it out and flies back into his mom's room, and before Mark can grab him, he tells Invincible not to move or he'll send his mother to a universe where she'll fall 6 stories since their house is in the middle of a massive crater there. And Mark tells Angstrom that he's insane, but he gives up. If Angstrom just lets his family go, he'll surrender and go to whatever universe he wants to go to so that they can handle this there. But Angstrom's true colors start to come out as he tells Mark that that wouldn't be any fun, and he plans on ending Mark's family no matter what once Mark is too tired to stop him so that he can make him watch. So as Mark gets furious, again realizing that he's in a helpless situation here, Angstrom opens another portal that Invincible flies through, but this time he doesn't go into a completely different comic universe. As previously, we've explained how we saw Rick and Shane from The Walking Dead as an Easter egg in this series, but now things get way more serious as Mark is sent into the world of The Walking Dead, and before him he sees a street full of walkers as Mark has to use his powers to take the zombies down and eventually finds a group that he can sit with around a campfire at night, who he tries to explain the situation to. But could you imagine Invincible just walking into Rick's camp and trying to explain why he can fly? Did you know that he also visited the DC Universe for a brief run-in with the Cape Crusader? This happens in Invincible issue 33, where we see Mark looking really beat up somehow, which tells us that even in this random situation, Batman was prepared. And Mark tells Bruce that his hero name is pretty lazy because he's literally just a guy in a bat costume. But he doesn't stick with the conversation too long since he more or less gave this speech to Spider-Man, and he knows his own hero name isn't the greatest either. After this, Robert Kirkman has expressed interest in a more official crossover between Mark Grayson and other DC properties, and despite the fact that by this point Invincible is over, you never know where certain characters might appear since the comics industry is pretty close-knit in some ways, and Robert Kirkman is actually a really influential figure. Do you think Batman has time for another Grayson in his life? And if not Batman, what character would you want to see Mark Grayson team up with from any other comic universe that he hasn't already?